Om. O Devas, may we hear with our ears what is auspicious. May we see with our eyes what is auspicious. O ye worthy of worship, may we enjoy the term of life allotted by the Devas, praising them with our body and limbs steady. May the glorious Indra bless us. May the all-knowing Sun bless us. May Garuda, the thunderbolt for evil, bless us. May Brihaspati grant us well-being. Om. Let there be peace in me. Let there be peace in my environment. Let there be peace in the forces that act on me. Chapter 1. Shandilya questioned Atharvan thus: Please tell me about the 8 angas of yoga, which is the means of attaining to Atman. Atharvan replied, The 8 angas of yogas are Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. Of these, Yama is of 10 kinds, and so is Niyama. There are 8 asanas. Pranayama is of 3 kinds. Pratyahara is of 5 kinds, so also is Dharana. Dhyana is of 2 kinds, and Samadhi is of 1 kind only. Under Yama, forbiddens are 10: Ahimsa, Satya, Asatya, Asteya, Brahmacharya, Daya, Ajava, Chama, Triti, Mitahara, and Saucha. Of these, Ahimsa is the not causing of any pain to any living beings at any time through the actions of one's mind, speech, or body. Satya is the speaking of truth that conduces to the well-being of creatures through the actions of one's mind, speech, or body. Asteya is not coveting of another's property through the actions of one's mind, speech, or body. Brahmacharya is the refraining from sexual intercourse in all places and in all states in mind, speech, or body. Daya is kindness towards all creatures in all places. Ajava is the preserving of equanimity of mind, speech, or body in the performance or non-performance of actions ordained or forbidden to be done. Chama is the bearing patiently of all pleasant or unpleasant things, such as praise or blow. Triti is the preserving of firmness of mind during the period of gain or loss of wealth or relatives. Mitahara is the taking of oily and sweet food, leaving 1/4 of the stomach empty. Saucha is of 2 kinds, external and internal. Of these, the external is the cleansing of the body by earth and water. The internal is the cleansing of the mind. This latter is to be obtained by means of Adhyatma Vidya, the science of self. Under Niyama, the religious observances are 10: Tapas, Santosha, Astikya, Dana, Ishwa Vara Pujana, Siddhanta Sravana, Ri, Mati, Japa, and Vrata. Of these tapas is the emancipation of the body through the observations of such penances such as Kritsra, Sandrayana, according to rules. Santosha is being satisfied with whatever comes to us of its own accord. Astikya is the belief in the merits or demerits of actions as stated in the Vedas. Dana is the giving with faith to deserving persons, money, grain, etc., earned lawfully. Ishwara Pujana is the worshipping of Vishnu Rudra with pure mind according to one's power. Siddhanta Sravana is the inquiry into the significance of Vedanta. Ri, spelled H-R-I-H, Ri, is the shame felt in the performance of things contrary to the rules of the Vedas and of society. Mati is the faith in the paths laid down by the Vedas. Japa is the practicing of the mantras into which one is duly initiated by his spiritual instructor and which is not against the rules of the Vedas. It is of 2 kinds, the spoken and the mental. The mental is associated with contemplation by the mind. The spoken is of 2 kinds, the loud and the low. The loud pronunciation gives the reward as stated in the Vedas, while the low one gives a reward 1,000 times of that. The mental gives a reward 1 crore of times that. Vrata is the regular observance of or the refraining from the actions enjoyed or prohibited by the Vedas. Asanas, the postures, are chiefly 8: Swastika, Gomukha, Padma, Vira, Simha, Bhadra, Mukta, and Mayura. Swastika is the sitting at ease with the body erect, placing each foot between the thighs and knees of the other. Gomukha is the sitting at ease with the body erect, placing the hollow of the left foot under the side of the right posteriors and the hollow of the right foot under the side of the left posteriors, resembling Gomukha, a cow's face. Padma is the sitting at ease with the body erect, placing the back of each foot in the thigh of the other, the right hand grasping the right toe and the left hand to left toe. This, O Śāṇḍilya, is praised by all. Vira is the sitting at ease with the body erect, placing one foot on the thigh of the other and the other foot underneath the corresponding opposite thigh. Simha is the sitting at ease with the body erect, pressing the right side of the thigh with the hollow of the left heel and vice versa. Rest your hands on the knees, spread out the fingers, open your mouth, and carefully fix your gaze on the tip of your nose. This is always praised by the yogins. Siddha is the sitting at ease with the body erect, pressing the perineum with the left heel and placing the heel of the right foot above the genital organ, concentrating the mind between the two eyebrows. Bhadra is the sitting at ease with the body erect, pressing the two ankles of the 2 feet firmly together against the sivini, the lower part of the seed, and binding the knees firmly with the hands. There is the Bhadra, which destroys all diseases and poisons. Mukta is the sitting at ease with the body erect, pressing with the left heel the right side of the tender part of the sivini, and with the right heel the left side of the tender part of the sivini. Mayura, the peacock. Rest your body upon the ground with both palms and place your elbows on the sides of the navel. Lift up the head and feet and remain like a stick in the air, like the plant balance in gymnastics. This is the Mayura posture which destroys all sins. By these, all the diseases within the body are destroyed, all the poisons are digested. Let the person who is unable to practice all these postures betake himself to any one of these which he may find easy and pleasant. He who conquers or gets mastery over the postures, he conquers the 3 worlds. A person who has the practice of Yama and Niyama should practice Pranayama. By that, the nadis become purified. Then Śāṇḍilya questioned Atharvan. By what means are the nadis purified? How many are they in number? How do they arise? What vayus, the vital airs, are located in them? What are their seats? What are their functions? Whatever is worthy of being known in the body, please tell me. To that, Atharvan replied, this body is 96 digits in length. Prana extends 12 digits beyond the body. He who, through the practice of yoga, reduces his prana within his body to make it equal to or not less than the fire in it, becomes the greatest of the yogins. In men, the region of fire, which is triangular in form and brilliant as the molten gold, is situated in the middle of the body. In 4-footed animals, fire is quadrangular. In birds, it is round. In its region of life's center, the purifying, beneficial, and subtle flame is situated. The 2 digits above the anus and the 2 digits below the sexual organ is the center of the body for men. For 4-footed animals, it is the middle of the heart. For birds, it is the middle of the body. 9 digits from or above the center of the body and 4 digits in length and breadth is situated an oval form. In its midst is the navel. In it is situated the chakra, wheel, with 12 spokes. In the middle of the chakra, the jiva, Atma, wanders, driven by its good and bad deeds. As a spider flies to and fro within a web of fine threads, so prana moves about here in this body. The jiva rides upon prana. Lying in the middle of the navel and above it is the seat of kundalini. The kundalini shakti is of the form of 8 prakritis, matter, and coils itself 8 ways, or 8 times. The movement of vayus, the vital ears, checks duly the food and drink all around by the side of skanda. It closes by its head the opening of the Brahmarandra, and during the time of the practice of yoga is awakened by the fire in the apana. Then it shines with great brilliancy in the akasha of the heart in the shape of wisdom. Depending upon kundalini, which is situated in the center, there are 14 principal nadis. Ida, Pingala, Susumna, Saraswati, Baruni, Pusha, Hastajiva, Yasavini, Visudhari, Kuhu, Sankhini, Payasvini, Alambusa, and Gandhari. Of them, Sushumna is said to be the sustainer of the universe and the path of salvation. Situated at the back of the anus, it is attached to the spinal column and extends to the brahmanda of the head and is invisible and subtle, and is Vaishnavi, or has the Shakti force of Vishnu. On the left of Sushumna is situated Ida, and on the right is Pingala. The moon moves in Ida and the sun in Pingala. The moon is of the nature of tamas, and sun of rajas. The poison share is of the sun and the nectar of the moon. They both direct or indicate time, and Sushumna is the enjoyer or consumer of time. To the back and on the side of Sushumna are situated Saraswati and Kuhu, respectively. Between Yasasvini and Kuhu stands Varuni. Between Pusha and Saraswati lies Payasvini. Between Gandhari and Saraswati is situate Yasasvini. In the center of the navel is Alambusa. In front of Sushumna there is Kuhu, where proceeds as far as the genital organ. Above and below Kundalini is situated Varuni, which proceeds everywhere. Yasasvini, which is beautiful or belonging to the moon, proceeds to the great toes. Pingala goes upward to the right nostril. Payasvini goes to the right ear. Saraswati goes to the upper part of or the tongue, and Sankini to the left ear, while Gandhari goes off from the back of Ida to the left eye. Alambusa goes upwards and downwards from the root of the anus. From these 14 nadis, other minor nadis spring, from them springing others, and from them springing others. So, it should be known. As the leaf of the Asvanta tree is covered with minute fibers, so also is this body permeated with nadis. Prana, Apana, Samana, Udana, Dhyana, Naga, Kurma, Krikara, Devadatta, and Dhananjaya, these 10 vayus, the vital ears, move in all the nadis. Prana moves in the nostrils, the throat, the navel, the 2 great toes, and the lower and the upper parts of Kundalini. Dhyana moves in the ear, the eye, the loins, the ankles, the nose, the throat, and the buttocks. Apana moves in the anus, the genitals, the thighs, the knees, the stomach, the seeds, the lions, the calves, the navel, and the seat of the anus of fire. Udana lives in all the joints and also in the hands and legs. Samana lives, permeating in all parts of the Udana of the body. Along with the fire in the body, Samana causes the food and drink taken in to spread in the body. It moves in the 72,000 nadis and pervades all over the body along with the fire. The fire vayus, beginning with Naga, go towards the skin, the bones. The prana, which is in the navel, separates the food and drink which is there and brings about the rasas, juices, and others. Placing the water above the fire and the food above or in the fire, it goes to the apana and along with it fans up the fire in the center of the body. The fire, thus fanned up by the apana, gradually increases in the brightness in the middle of the body. Then it causes, through its flames, the water which is brought in the bowels by the prana to grow hot. The fire with the water causes the food and conditions which are placed above to be boiled to a proper degree. Then prana separates these into sweat, urine, water, blood, semen, the feces, and the like. And along with the samana, it takes the juice for essence to all the nadis and moves in the body in the shape of breath. The vayus excrete the urine, the feces, through the 9 openings in the body which are connected with the outside ear. The functions of prana are inspiration, expiration, and cough. Those of apana are the excretion of the feces and the urine. Those of yana are such actions as giving and taking. Those of udana are keeping the body straight. Those of samana are nourishing the body. Those of naga are vomiting. Of kurma, the movement of the eyelids. Of krikara, the causing of hunger. Of devadatta, idleness, and dhananjaya, phlegm. Having thus acquired a thorough knowledge of the seat of the nadis and the vayus with their functions, one should begin with the purification of the nadis. A person possessed of Yama and Niyama, avoiding all company, having finished his course of study, delighting in truth and virtue, having conquered his anger, being engaged in the service of his spiritual instructor, and having been obedient to his parents, and as well instructed in all the religious practices and knowledge of his order of life, should go to a sacred grove, abounding in fruits, roots, and water. There he should select a pleasant spot, always resounding with the chanting of the Vedas, frequented by the knowers of Brahman that persevere in the duties of their orders of life, and filled with fruits, roots, flowers, and water. Else, either is a temple, or on the banks of a river, or in a village, or in a town, he should build a beautiful monastery. It should be neither too long nor too high, should have a small door, should be besmeared well with cow dung, and should have every sort of protection. There, listening to the exposition of Vedanta, he should begin to practice yoga. In the beginning, having worshipped Vinayaka, Ganesha, he should salute his Ishtadevata, and sitting in any of the above-mentioned postures on a soft seat, facing either the east or the north, and having conquered them, the learned man keeping his head and neck erect, and fixing his gaze on the tip of his nose, should see the sphere of the moon between his eyebrows, and drink the nectar flowing therefrom through his eyes. Inhaling the air through Ida for the space of 12 matras, he should contemplate on the sphere of fire situated in the belly, as surrounded with flames, and having as its seed Ra. Then he should exhale it through Pingala. Again, inhaling it through Pingala, and retaining it within. He should exhale it through Ida. For the period of 28 months, he should practice 6 times, at every sitting through the 3 sandhyas, morning, noon, and evening, and during the intervals. By this the nadis becomes purified. Then the body becomes light and bright. The gastric fire is increased within, and there is the manifestation of nada, internal sound. Pranayama is said to be the union of prana and apana. It is of 3 kinds: expiration, inspiration, and cessation. They are associated with the letters of the Sanskrit alphabet for the right performance of pranayama. Therefore, pranava, the Om, only is said to be pranayama. Sitting in the Padma posture, the person should meditate that there is at the tip of his nose Gayatri, a girl of a red complexion, surrounded by the numberless rays of the image of the moon, and mounted on a Hamsa, a swan, and having a mace in her hand. She is visible symbol of the letter A. The letter U has as its visible symbol Savitri, a young woman of white color, having a disc in her hand and riding on a Garuda, the eagle. The letter Ma has its visible symbol of Saraswati, an aged woman of black color, riding on a bull, having a trident in her hand. He should meditate that the single letter, the supreme light, the pranava, Om, is the origin or source of these 3 letters, A, U, and Ma. Drawing up the air through Ida for the space of 16 matras, he should meditate on the letters A during that time, retaining the inspired air for the space of 64 matras. He should meditate on the letter U during the time. He should then exhale the inspired air for the space of 32 matras, meditating on the letter Ma during that time. He should practice this in the above order over and over again. Then, having become firm in the posture and preserve perfect self-control, the yogin should, in order to clear away the impurities of the susumna, sit in the Padmasana, the Padma posture, and having inhaled the air through the left nostril, should retain it as long as he can, and should exhale it through the right. Then drawing it again through the right, and having retained it, he should exhale it through the left, in order that he should draw it through the same nostril by which he exhaled it before and retained it. In this context, occur to memory the following verses. In the beginning, having inhaled the breath prana through the left nostril, according to the rule, he should exhale it through the other. Then, having inhaled the air through the right nostril, should retain it and exhale it through the other. To those who practice according to these rules through the right and the left nostrils, the nadis become purified within 3 months. He should practice cessation of breath at sunrise, in the midday, at sunset, and at midnight slowly till 80 times a day for 4 weeks. In the early stages, perspiration is produced. In the middle stage, the tremor of the body. And in the last stage, levitation in the air. These results ensure out of the repression of the breath while sitting in the palma posture. When perspiration arises with effort, he should rub his body well. By this, the body becomes firm and light. In the early course of his practice, food with milk and ghee is excellent. One sticking to this rule becomes firm in his practice and gets no tapa, or burning sensation in the body. As lions, elephants, and tigers are gradually tamed, so also the breath, when rightly managed, comes under control, else it kills the practitioner. He should, as far as is consistent with his health and safety, properly exhale it, properly inhale it, or retain it properly. Thus, only will he attain success. By thus retaining the breath in an approved manner, and by the purification of the nadis, the brightening of the gastric fire, the hearing distinctly of spiritual sounds, and good health results. When the nervous centers have become purified through the regular practice of pranayama, the air easily forces its way up through the mouth of the susumna, which is in the middle. By the contraction of the muscles of the neck, and by the contraction of the one below, apana, the prana breath goes into susumna, which is in the middle from the west nadi. Drawing up the apana, and forcing down the prana from the throat, the yogin, free from old age, becomes a youth of 16. Seated in a pleasant posture and drawing up the air through the right nostril, and retaining it inside, from the top of the hair to the toenails, he should exhale it through the same nostril. Through it, the brain becomes purified, and the diseases in the air, nadis, are destroyed. Drawing up the air through the nostrils with noise, so as to fill the space from the heart to the neck, and having retained it within as long as possible, he should exhale it through the nose. Through this hunger, thirst, idleness, and sleep do not arise. Taking in the air through the mouth wide open, and having retained it as long as possible, he should expel it through the nose. Through this, such diseases as gulma, pliha, bile, and fever, as also hunger, are destroyed. Now we shall proceed to kumbhaka, restraint of breath. It is of 2 kinds, sahita and kevala. That which is coupled with expiration and inspiration is called sahita. That which is devoid of these is called kevala, alone. Until you become perfect in kevala, practice sahita. To one who has mastered kevala, there is nothing unattainable in the 3 worlds. By kevala restraint of breath, the knowledge of kundalini arises. Then he becomes lean in body, serene in face, and clear-eyed. Hears the spiritual sounds distinctly, becomes free from all diseases, and conquers his bindu, seminal fluid, his gastric fire being increased. Centering one's mind on an inward object, while his eyes are looking outside, without shutting and opening of his eyelids, has been called Vaishnavi Mudra. This is kept hidden in all the tantric works. With his mind and breath absorbed in an internal object, the yogin, though he does not really see the objects outside and under him, still appears to see them with eyes in which the pupils are motionless. This is called Kechari Mudra. It has as its sphere of extension one object and is very beneficial. Then the real seat of Vishnu, which is void and non-void, dawns on him. With eyes half closed and with a firm mind, Fixing his eyes on the tip of his nose and becoming absorbed in the sun and moon, he, after remaining thus unshaken, becomes conscious of the thing which is resplendent, which is the supreme truth and which is beyond. O Śāṇḍilya, know this to be tat, that, merging the sound in the light and elevating the brows a little. This is of the way of, or is a part of, the former practice. This brings about the state of unmani, which causes the destruction of the mind. Therefore, he should practice the Kechari mudra. Then he attains to the state of unmani and falls into the yoga sleep, trance. To one who obtains this yoga sleep, time does not exist. Placing the mind in the midst of Shakti and Shakti in the midst of the mind and looking on the mind with the mind, O Śāṇḍilya, be happy. Place the Atma in the midst of Akasha and Akasha in the midst of Atma, and having reduced everything to Akasha, do not think of anything else. You should not then entertain thoughts, either external or internal. Abandoning all thoughts, become abstract. Thought itself. As camphor in fire and salt in water become absorbed, so also the mind becomes absorbed in the tattva, truth. What is termed manas, mind, is the knowledge of everything that is known and its clear apprehension. When the knowledge and the object cognized are lost alike, there is no second path. By giving up all cognition of objects, the mind is absorbed, and when the mind is absorbed, kaivalya, isolation alone remains. For the destruction of the citta, there are two ways, yoga and dhyana. O Prince of Sages, yoga is the forcible repression of the modifications of the mind, and dhyana is the thorough inquiry into them. When the modifications of the mind are repressed, the mind verily obtains peace. Just as the actions of the people cease with the stopping of the fluctuations of the sun, so when the fluctuations of the mind cease, this cycle of births and deaths comes to an end. Then the fluctuations of prana are prevented when one has no longing for this mundane existence, or when he has gratified his desires therein. Through the study of religious books, the company of good men, indifference to enjoyments, practice and yoga or long contemplation and intentiveness on any desired object, or through practicing one truth firmly. By the repression of the breath through inhalation, by continual practice therein which does not cause fatigue, and by meditating in a secluded place, the fluctuations of the mind are arrested. Through the right realization of the true nature of the sound, which is at the extreme end of the pronunciation of the syllable Om, Ardhamatra, and when Sushupti, dreamless sleeping state, is rightly cognized through consciousness, the fluctuations of prana are repressed. When the passage at the root of the palate, which is like the bell, uvula, is closed by the tongue with effort, and when the breath goes up through the upper hole, then the fluctuations of prana are stopped. When the consciousness, samvit, is merged in prana, and when through practice the prana goes through the upper hole into the vadasanta, the 12th center above the palate, then the fluctuations of prana are stopped. When the eye of consciousness, the spiritual third eye, becomes calm and clear as to be able to distinctly see in the transparent akasha at a distance of 12 digits from the tip of his nose, then the fluctuations of prana are stopped. When the thoughts arising in the mind are bound up in the calm contemplation of the world of taraka, the star or the eye, between one's eyebrows, and are thus destroyed, then the fluctuations cease. When the knowledge, which is of the form of the knowable, which is beneficent and which is untouched by and modifications, arises in one and is known as Om, only, and no other, then the fluctuations of prana cease. By the contemplation for a long time of the akasha, which is in the heart, and by the contemplation of the mind, free from vasanas, then the fluctuations of prana cease. By these methods and various others suggested by one's thought, and by means of the contact of the many spiritual guides, the fluctuations cease. Having, by contraction, opened the door of Kundalini, one should force open the door of moksha. Closing with her mouth the door through which one ought to go, the Kundalini sleeps, spiral in form and coiled up like a serpent. He who causes this Kundalini to move, he is an emancipated person. If this Kundalini were to sleep in the upper part of the neck of an yogin, it goes towards his emancipation. If it were to sleep in the lower part of the body, it is for the bondage of the ignorant. Leaving the two nadis, Ida and the other Pingala, it, the prana, should move in the Sushumna. That is the supreme seat of Vishnu. One should practice control of breath with the concentration of the mind. The mind should not be allowed by a clever man to rest on any other thing. One should not worship Vishnu during the day alone. One should not worship Vishnu during the night alone, but should always worship him and should not worship him merely during day and night. The wisdom producing opening near Uvula has 5 passages, O Shandilya. This is the Kechari Mudra. Practice it. With one who sits in the Kechari Mudra, the Vayu, which was flowing before through the left and the right nadis now, flows through the middle one, Susumna. There is no doubt about it. You should swallow the air through the void, Susumna, between Ida and Pingala. In that place is Kechari Mudra situated, that is the seat of truth. Again, that is Kechari Mudra, which is situated in the Akasha Chakra, in the head, in the Niramlamba, supportless seat between the sun and moon, that is Ida and Pingala. When the tongue has been lengthened to the length of a kala, a digit, by the incision of the Frenam Lingam, and by rubbing and milking it, the tongue, fix the gaze between the 2 eyebrows, and close the hole in the skull, with the tongue reversed. This is Kechari Mudra. With the tongue and the chitta, mind, both move in the akasha, Kechari. Then the person with his tongue become immortal, firmly pressing the yoni by the left heel, stretching out the right leg, grasping the feet with both hands, and inhaling the air through the nostrils. Practice Kantabandha, retaining the air upwards. By that, all afflictions are destroyed. Then poison is digested as if it were nectar. Asthma, splenic disease, the turning up of the anus and the numbness of the skin are removed. This is the means of conquering prana and destroying death. Pressing the yoni by the left heel, place the other foot over the left thigh. Inhale the air. Rest the chin on the chest. Contract the yoni and contemplate. As far as possible, your Atma is situated within your mind. Thus is the direct perception of truth attained. Inhaling the prana from outside and filling the stomach with it. Center the prana with the mind in the middle of the navel, at the tip of the nose and at the toes during the sandhyas, the sunset and sunrise, or at all times. Thus, the yogin is freed from all diseases and fatigue. By centering his prana at the tip of his nose, he obtains mastery over the elements of air. By centering it at the middle of his navel, all diseases are destroyed. By centering it at the toes, his body becomes light. He who drinks the air through the tongue destroys fatigue, thirst, and diseases. He who drinks the air with his mouth during the 2 sandhyas and the last 2 hours of the night, within 3 months, the auspicious Saraswati, goddess of speech, is present in his vak, speech. He becomes eloquent and learned in his speech. In 6 months, he is free from all diseases. Drawing the air by the tongue, retain the air at the root of the tongue. The wise man thus drinking nectar enjoys all prosperity. Fixing the Atman in the Atman itself in the middle of the eyebrows, having inhaled through Ida and breaking through that center 30 times, even a sick man is freed from disease. He who draws the air through the nadis and retains it for 24 minutes in the navel and in the sides of the stomach becomes freed from disease. He who, for the space of a month, during the 3 sandhyas, sunset, sunrise, and midnight, or noon, draws the air through the tongue, perceives 30 times and retains his breath in the middle of his navel, becomes freed from all fevers and poisons. He who retains the prana together with the mind at the tip of his nose even for the space of a muhurta, 48 minutes, destroys all sins that were committed by him during 100 births. Through the samyama of Tara, Om, he knows all things. By retaining the mind at the tip of his nose, he acquires knowledge of Indra world. Below that, he acquires knowledge of Agni, the fire world. Through the samyama of Chitta in the eye, he gets a knowledge of all worlds. In the ear, a knowledge of Yama, the god of death world. In the sides of the ear, a knowledge of Nritti world. In the back of it, the ear, a knowledge of Varuna world. In the left ear, a knowledge of Vayu world. In the throat, a knowledge of Soma, moon world. In the left eye, a knowledge of Shiva world. In the head, a knowledge of Atala world. In the feet, a knowledge of Vitala world. In the ankles, a knowledge of Nitala, Sutala world. In the calves, a knowledge of Sutala, Talatala world. In the knees, a knowledge of Mahatala world. In the thighs, a knowledge of Rasatala world. In the loins, a knowledge of Talatala, Patala world. In the navel, a knowledge of Pur, earth world. In the stomach, a knowledge of Bhuvar world. In the heart, a knowledge of Suvar world. In the place above the heart, a knowledge of Mahar world. In the throat, a knowledge of Jana world. In the middle of the brows, a knowledge of Tapa world. In the head, a knowledge of Satya world. By conquering Dharma and Adharma, one knows the past and the future. By centering it on the sound of every creature, a knowledge of the cry or language of the animal is produced. By centering it on the sanchita karma, the past karma yet to be enjoyed, a knowledge of one's previous births arises in him. By centering it on the mind of another, a knowledge of the mind or thoughts of others is induced. By centering it on the kaya rupa or form of the body, the other forms are seen. By fixing it on the bala, the strength of persons like Hanuman is obtained. By fixing it on the sun, knowledge of the worlds arises. By fixing it on the moon, knowledge of the constellation is produced. By fixing it on the dhruva, the polar star, a perception of its motion is induced. By fixing it on his own self, one acquires the knowledge of Purusha. On the navel, he attains a knowledge of the Kaya Vyuha, mystical arrangement of all the particles of the body so as to enable a person to wear out his whole karma in one life. On the well of the throat, freedom from hunger and thirst arises. On the Kurmanadi, which is situated in the well of the throat, a firmness of concentration takes place. By fixing it on the Tara, pupil of the eye, he obtains the sight of Siddhas, spiritual personages. By conquering the Akasa in the body, he obtains the sight of the Siddhas. And he is able to soar in the Akasha. By centering the mind in any place, he conquers the Siddhis pertaining to that place. Then comes Pratyahara, which is of 5 kinds. It is the drawing away of the organs from attaching themselves to the objects of senses. Contemplating upon everything that one sees as Atman is Pratyahara. Renouncing the fruits of one's daily actions is Pratyahara. Turning away from all desires of sense is Pratyahara. Dharana is the 18 important places. Is Pratyahara the feet, the toes, the ankles, the calves, the knees, the thighs, the anus, the penis, the navel, the heart, as well of the throat, the palate, the nose, the eyes, the middle of the brows, the forehead, and the head in ascending and descending orders. Then comes Dharana. It is of 3 kinds, fixing the mind in the Atman, bringing the external Akasha into the Akasha of the heart, and contemplating the 5 murtis, the forms of devatas in the 5 elements, earth, apas, fire, vayu, and Akasha. Then comes Dhyana. It is of 2 kinds, Saguna, with gunas or quality, and Nirguna, without quality. Saguna is the meditation of a murti, Nirguna is on the reality of self. Samadhi is the union of the Jivatma, individual self, and the Paramatma, higher self, without the threefold state, the knower, the known, and the knowledge. It is of the nature of extreme bliss and pure consciousness. Thus ends the first chapter. Chapter 2. Then the Brahmarishi Śāṇḍilya, not obtaining the knowledge of Brahman in the four Vedas, approached the Lord Atharvan and asked him, "What is it? Teach me the science of Brahman by which I shall obtain that which is most excellent." Atharvan replied, "O Śāṇḍilya, Brahman is Satya, Vijnana and Ananta, in which all this world is interwoven, warp-wise and woof-wise, from which all originated and into which all are absorbed, and which being known makes everything else known. It is without hands and feet, without eyes and ears, without tongue or without body, and is unreachable and undefinable. From which vak, speech, and mind return, being unable to obtain or reach it. It is to be cognized by Dhyana and Yoga. From which prana of all sprang, the prajna, that which is one and non-dual, that which pervades everything like akasha, which is extremely subtle, without a blemish, actionless, sat. Beingness, only the essence of the bliss of consciousness, beneficent, calm, and immortal, and which is beyond. That is Brahman. Thou art that. Know that by wisdom. He who is the one, the shining, the giver of the power of Atman, the omniscient, the Lord of all, and the inner soul of all beings, who lives in all beings, who is hidden in all beings and the source of all beings, who is reachable only through yoga, and who creates, supports, and destroys everything. He is Atman. Know the several worlds in the Atman. Do not grieve, O knower of Atman, thou shalt reach the end of pains. Thus ends the second chapter. Chapter 3. Then Śāṇḍilya questioned Atharvan thus. From the Brahman that is Om, imperishable, actionless, beneficial, Sat, beingness, only and supreme, how dissolution does universe arise? How does it exist in it? And how is it absorbed in it? Please solve me this doubt. Atharvan replied, the supreme Brahman, the truth, is the imperishable and the actionless. Then from the formless Brahman, three forms or aspects arose. Nishkala, the partless, Sakala, with parts, and Sakala Nishkala, with and without parts. That which is Satya, Vijnana, and Ananda, that which is actionless, without any impurity, omnipresent, extremely subtle, having faces in every direction, undefinable and immortal, that is his Nishkala aspect. Maheshwara, the great Lord, which is black and yellow, rules with avidya. Mula Prakriti, or Maya, that is red, white, and black, and that is coexistent with him. This is his Sakala Nishkala aspect. Then the Lord desired, or willed, by his spiritual wisdom, may I become many, may I bring forth. Then from this person who was contemplating, and whose desires are fulfilled, three letters sprang up. Three Vyavitris, the three-footed Gayatri, the three Vedas, the three Devas, the three Varnas, colors, castes, and the three fires sprang. That supreme Lord who is endowed with all kinds of wealth, who is all-pervading, who is situated in the hearts of all beings, who is the Lord of Maya, and whose form is Maya. He is Brahma. He is Vishnu, he is Rudra, he is Indra, he is all the Devas, he is all the Bhutas, the elements or beings. He only is before, he only is behind, he only is on our left, he only is on our right, he only is below, he only is above, he only is the all. That form of him as the Tattriya, who sports with his Shakti, who is kind to his devotees, who is brilliant as fire, resembling the petals or a red lotus, and is of four hands, who is mind, mild and shines sinlessly. This is his Shakala form. Then Śāṇḍilya questioned Atharvan, O Lord, that which is Sat only, and the essence of the bliss of consciousness, which is he called Parabrahman? Why is he called Parabrahman? Atharvan replied, because he increases Brihati, and causes to increase everything, Brimyati. So he is called Parabrahman. Why is he called Atman? Since he obtains, apnoti, everything. Since he takes back everything, and everything, he is everything. So he is called Atman. Who is he called? Maheshwara, the great Lord. Since by the sound of the words Mahat, Isha, the great Lord, and by his own power, the great Lord governs everything. Why is he called Dattatreya? Because the Lord, being extremely pleased with Atri, Rishi, who was performing a most difficult penance and who had expressed his desire to see him, who is light itself, offered himself, Datta, as their son, and because the woman Anusuya was his mother and Atri was his father. Therefore, he who knows the secret meaning knows everything. He who always contemplates on the Supreme, that it is himself, becomes a knower of Brahman. He who contemplates always the Lord of Lords and the Ancient, thus as Dattatreya, the beneficent, the calm of the color of sapphire, one who delights in his own Maya, and the Lord, who has shaken off everything as naked, and as one whose whole body is besmeared with the holy ashes, who has matted hair, who is the Lord of all, who has 4 arms, who is bliss in appearance, whose eyes are like full-blown lotus, who is the store of Dhyana and Yoga, who is spiritual instructor of all the worlds, and who is dear to all the yogins, and one who is merciful towards his devotees, who is the witness of all, and who is worshipped by the siddhas, is freed from all sins, and will attain the spirit. Om Satyam, truth. Thus ends the chapter. Om. O Devas, may we hear with our ears what is auspicious. May we see with our eyes what is auspicious. O ye worthy of worship, may we enjoy the term of life allotted by the Devas. Praising them with our body and limbs steady, may the glorious Indra bless us. May the all-knowing Sun bless us. May Garuda, the thunderbolt for evil, bless us. May Brihaspati grant us well-being. Om. Let there be peace in me. Let there be peace in my environment. Let there be peace in the forces that act on me. Here ends the Śāṇḍilya Upanishad, included in the Atharvaveda.